The best part about it is, like, I haven't paid for a flight in about 3 or 4 years.
Because of the airline miles?
Yeah. Because I got every single Chase card. It's kind of a little bit concerning being 23 and having about 12 credit cards. But they're all very, like, strategic and well thought out. Not rolling over any debt, not paying any interest. So
yeah, well, that's a very important lesson. Is here. So he has 12 credit cards, and how much interest have you paid in total in all those cards?
0.
What's up, peeps? This is Todd, and welcome back to my show. I have an awesome episode for you today because this guy is house hacking in Seattle, and he started off rent hacking, and so I just wanted to bring him on the channel, introduce him, and dude, say hi to the people of YouTube.
Yeah, hello YouTube, big fan. My name is Castleton. It's a pleasure to be here with Todd.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you, and I wanted to bring Aaron on because he has an awesome story. From rent hacking to firework flipping to house hacking and all the things. So just what if you give like just a brief background of like your maybe high school, college days, and then what brought you on today?
Yeah. So starting off the bat, when I was in high school, there was a big concern about like how I was going to pay for college or how I was going to, get there. So I just kind of right off the bat, I started applying for all the scholarships I could. I got a few essay scholarships. And then I also signed up for just like every odd job that I could do. And one of those happened to be fireworks. We'll go into a little bit more detail about that, but that was probably like one of the most fun ones, learning how to be a little bit of an entrepreneur.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, when I did get to college, it was just a matter of like finding like the cheapest place to rent and just living super frugally. Got onto following like Graham Stephan. I was like, and Todd. Well, I mean later on, but yeah, just kind of getting involved in the financial community, and then just eventually saved up. And I recently got my first house this year. I bought it when I was 22, but it like about 2 months before turning 23. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. So right before your 23rd birthday, bought your first house. Yeah. I assume you're house hacking and living for free.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Course. Yeah, no doubt about that.
That is the way to go. And I think that like people don't like know that. And so we need to tell them like go do it.
Yeah. Don't be scared to have roommates. Play tons of board games and card games. It's definitely a lot more fun than just like sitting at a house by yourself. So.
Right. Now, okay, the people are going to want to know this. So you bought your first house when you were 22, just barely 23, basically.
Yeah.
How in the world did you save up a down payment for that first house?
That involved just kind of being like really as cheap as possible. So that involved working a part-time job all through college. Every single summer, I worked about 100 hours a week selling fireworks, kind of like managing my own stand. I got financial aid, right? And it was enough to like cover if I wanted to stay in like the dorms or anything, but I was just like, nah, I'll just like save that and I'll live in like the cheapest place that I can. And then in addition to that, just like not being super extravagant with my spending, just like saving as much as I could and dabbling a little bit in like Robinhood.
Yeah.
That was something that I was actually really proud about, was in all throughout college, maxing out my Roth IRA every single year. Like there was some years where it was a struggle for sure. But it was just kind of like a little bit confidence booster, kind of made me want to continue investing because I was like, okay, I'm seeing a little bit of progress here. I'll keep doing it. But yeah, I was able to save up all through college, and I did split the house with my brother, putting down the down payment. But between the two of us, I'd only been like working outside of college at like a real professional career for about 3 months, and was able to put down a down payment.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Now, okay, so you lived cheaply during college. You had the firework gig during the summers. Can I ask, like, on your best summer, like, what's something you'd be able to pull in from fireworks?
So I was selling on average about $25,000 to about $28,000 worth of fireworks.
Nice.
Well, so that's not all me, right? I don't get to keep most of it. I was making about a 20% commission the first 2 years. After like seeing how well I was doing, my supervisor, he was like, okay, we can bump you up to 25%. And so I've been doing that for about 6 years now. And so at 18, my very first year doing this, I made about $3K in a week. And as an
Yes.
18-year-old, you're like, $3,000. Like, I could go out and buy a used car right
Yeah, totally.
So it was grueling. I had to, hire all my own employees. I had to schedule all their times. I literally babysat those fireworks like 24/7, but it was a lot of fun, actually. I got to hang out with a lot of really good friends, and like I got to pay my friends to hang out with me. So
did you have to buy the fireworks up front and then you have like this big like stash and then you just sell them out that way? Is that how it works?
No, TNT is actually really, really helpful when it comes to this sort of stuff. So they would supply me with all the fireworks that I needed for the week, right? And then whatever I didn't sell at the end of the 4th of July week, I could just return to them. And then I would get billed for everything that I didn't return, which actually ties into credit card churning. I don't know if we want to go into that.
Yeah,
that's like
totally.
A whole other,
Totally.
Preemptively before the 4th of July, I'd be like, I know that I'm going to have this $25K bill at the end of the week, and I'm going to be paying that off anyways. And I know that I'm going to have the money in my account. So what I would do is I'd preemptively get 3 credit cards with the highest intro bonuses. And then at the end of the week, I would just go to TNT Fireworks. I'd go to my supervisor and be like, all right, I want $5,000 on this card. I want $10,000 on this card. And then I would just divide it up through like all the rest of them. Mm-hmm. And then literally the next day, because I was a little bit uncomfortable about having so much debt, I would just be like, all right, that's paid off.
That's awesome. So basically you knew that you'd have this big expense, like $25,000, but you had the revenue coming in to cover it. So you put the expense on a credit card to get the new bonus, paid it off immediately, and you just cashed out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's sick.
Yeah. And the best part about it is like I haven't paid for a flight in about 3 or 4 years.
Because of the airline miles?
Yeah. Because I got every single Chase card. It's like, it's kind of a little bit concerning being 23 and having about 12 credit cards. But they're all very like strategic and well thought out. Not rolling over any debt, not paying any interest. So
yeah, well, that's a very important lesson. Is here. So he has 12 credit cards, and how much interest have you paid in total in all those cards?
0.
Good. That's right. That's how you do it. That's how you credit card. 0 interest. Because I probably have up to like 15 or 16 cards now. Same thing. I carry a balance on none of them. I haven't paid a dime in interest, but I've made, thousands of dollars in new bonuses and flight benefits. I mean, it's pretty crazy. But okay, so fast forward to now you're in college. You said you were living pretty cheaply. So what does that mean? Does that like you were living with a bunch of guys, or like how did that work?
Yeah, so when I was in college, I found like the cheapest place that I could rent in Seattle. And I was actually just like about about 3/4 of a mile from UW, which is where I went to school. And the house was filled with about 10 guys. And so it's busy. Like, sometimes you won't have a bathroom to use, but you make it work. And it was a lot of fun. Eventually, so we had a house manager, the guy who's in charge of paying all the utilities, all of the purchasing like the common items, making sure that people do chores, right? Mm-hmm. By my second year, he was a graduate, so he was leaving the house. His girlfriend at the time was like, we don't want to stay here. And he was like, I do, but she still didn't want to. So I was the next senior in the house, having the most experience there. And it was just kind of like everything was thrown onto me. And it was a lot to handle. I consider myself an adult at that point. Was not an adult. Learned how to pay all of my like electrical bills, all of my energy bills, water bills. I streamlined things because he had rotated toilet paper and paper towels like being purchased, like common items. But I realized like you'd have a roommate who just buy like the cheapest toilet paper, like single ply that would just burn. So I just streamlined it, and I like set up all my Amazon accounts to have monthly deliveries for all that sort of stuff. And it was trial and error for a lot of it, the first like 4 months or so. But then eventually it got to the point where I never raised the rent on people that were currently there. But I would, as people would move out, increase the rent for certain rooms. And then it got to the point where I was essentially living for free in Seattle.
That's awesome. So basically, in a house that you didn't even own, right? You were just like renting this.
Yeah, I had a very laid back landlord, hence the cheap rent.
Yeah.
And he was very hands off. He's just like the nicest guy too. And he just was like, this is how much I want to get per month for the house. And like, he made that very clear to me. And he's like, I want to offer affordable housing to young adults, people in college, because that's important. And it just kind of, helped him fulfill that goal. And it ended up being very valuable for me.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know what the exact numbers were, but basically as an example, like just to show the people how this could work is like, there's a landlord who owns a house. Mm-hmm. He's like, I want to make $3,000 per month for this house. And it's like, it's a bunch of bedrooms or whatever.
That's exactly it.
Right.
It was $3K.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that.
$3K for the whole house. And there was like 10 bedrooms.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's just periodically still keeping it like very, very undervalued for what UW was and like the university district for rental housing. And yeah, it was just a matter of like filling it up.
Yeah, and as long as the owner of the house got his $3,000, you could pretty much charge, even if it was under market, you could charge above that and even be getting paid to live. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much how it can work, and at least live for free, which sounds like you got to eventually.
Yeah.
That is so killer.
Yeah, it was nice. I strongly recommend, like, if you can't afford like buying a house, or renting a house that's big enough that you can sublet. And obviously that's something that you have to double check with your landlord, because obviously you don't want to be breaking any like tenant laws. But if you do have the ability to sublet and you want to be that person that kind of takes charge, there's nothing wrong with that, and it's a very doable learning experience. This guy knows all about it. He's kind of the expert.
It's I mean, house hacking is legit, and yeah, I mean, if you're young and maybe you don't have a down payment together, rent hacking is a good alternative. Yeah. There are options for 0% down, but that's probably a topic for another video. But yeah, rent hacking is certainly like, okay, so you're in college, you're working in the summers, you're doing the fireworks sales, you're basically living for free the whole time, and that's how you're able to scoop together money for your house of your own. So what's next for you? Like, what's the next goal? What are you looking to do next?
Yeah, I got a lot of things in the works. Currently, I'm managing my own home. I'm managing a house for my aunt at a discount property manager rate. And then currently, I'm just trying to grow in my own career right now. I work as a property manager for an apartment complex in Seattle, and it's very fulfilling. Love my coworkers, and right now I have like a lot of things set up, and I think it's just every year or two I want to keep buying a new property for myself. That's definitely where it's at. Managing other people's properties is a good way to start, but it's definitely advantageous to eventually own your own property. You have a lot more going on your side. Not only are you gaining appreciation, you're deducting the interest, and then whatever cash flow you can make on top of that, amongst like other benefits of owning your own home. But I think that's ultimately the way I want to go, is just continue maxing out my Roth IRA. It's funny, like all my roommates think that I'm a grandpa.
Dude, grandpa's gonna be rich.
Yeah, that's right.
If any of your roommates are watching this, grandpa's gonna be rich, man. That's the way to go. And you did that in college too. You maxed out $6,000 per year, or maybe back then it was $5,500, whatever it was at the time. But
yeah, I think the first 3 years were $5,500, and then I mean, it doesn't matter.
That's so killer. Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you this, because this is important to know.
Yeah.
So you're able to put $5,500 or $6,000 a year into your IRA while you're in college because you're living so cheaply. But like, how much money did you spend per weekend on like partying?
What's a party? No, I'm just kidding. So that's something that it's actually really big and like very important to me, right? I don't want to ever live a life so boring that I don't enjoy it, right? You'll talk, like every YouTuber says that they love to travel. Like everyone on the internet says that they love to travel. I actually really like to travel. I guess that's another thing to add to like the goals. So far, I've been to 7 different countries. And
those airline miles, man.
Those airline miles, they'll get you covered.
Yeah.
So, I guess one thing that is really important to me is just I don't spend money on temporary things as much, or I really prefer to spend money on things that create memories. Like one thing that's really big on me is like I have probably like $1,500 worth of rock climbing gear.
Nice.
And that's like, that sounds super expensive, and like, I don't know, some people are probably like, that's a waste of money, but I have like 4 harnesses, 3 pairs of shoes, and it just gives me the opportunity to take out like all the friends that I want to take out, and just like create memories with those people, and just be able to look back on the good times that like I have. Like, how many times do you think about the coffee that you drank? Like 5 times a week, you know, it's not something that's that important. But yeah, just focusing on building like memories and stuff is kind of what is important on like spending money for me.
Yeah, I think that's huge, because I think sometimes my message can get lost. And I never want to put out like a scarcity mindset. Like, you have to enjoy your life. You just understand what that means to you. And for you, you know, it's traveling and rock climbing. For me, my wife and I, we love to travel. We do spend money on that. We still try to get deals and credit card churn and all that stuff. But it's not that you don't do what you love. It's that you find out what's the most important thing, and then you figure out a way to invest and do that. And actually, by investing, you can do more of it. Because, I mean, right now, you're living for free. Imagine you guys watching, like, and you live in Seattle. You, like, live in, you know, or this greater Seattle area.
Greater Seattle.
Which is an expensive area, and you're pretty much able to live for free. And so people that are watching that are in an expensive area, even if it's a cheaper area, if you imagine your rent payment is gone because you're house hacking or you're rent hacking, and your mortgage payment is gone, whatever it is, then that frees up so much more money to go travel or do whatever is important to you.
Yeah. Having disposable income is huge. If you're like paying month to month and going paycheck to paycheck, you know, you're not going to be having as high a quality of life. And so cutting back wherever you can is definitely huge. Exactly.
And I think the short-term sacrifices, right? Yeah. So if you can make short-term sacrifices so you have a big pot of gold to then put into real estate or any other business venture that you want that then produces cash flow, then you can live, I mean, once you get, like, because you're going to get there pretty quickly, but I can imagine you're going to get to the point where you're living for free and making about $10,000 per month in passive income.
Fingers crossed,
It's going to happen for you, man, because you have the vision. You're doing it. And once you get to that level where it's like, without having to work, you're making 10 grand a month, month in and month out, it'll be a complete game changer. Because there are people that will be making what you make, but they'll be working 80 hours a week for it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just a game changer when it's passive.
Yeah. I mean, that was touching back on what we were talking about like owning your home versus managing. So as a property manager, I'm not making like, I'm happy with where I'm at, you know, but it's not like a ton of money. Where in comparison, managing my own home, I'm making just about a little bit less than a third of my monthly salary just from managing my own home. So it's just like, it really emphasizes the point of like, if you can get these like passive income assets, you know, it's definitely worth doing. And it's just it capitalizes on each other. As you get more and more, it just makes the process easier.
Yeah. And so for your specific scenario, you get 3 houses and that replaces your salary. If your house is a third
essentially.
Of it. That's awesome. I mean, and that's something that's very doable. You know, getting 3 houses, whether you buy one a year or one every couple of years, because what are you, like 23 right now?
23.
Yeah. I would imagine by the time you're 26, you'll certainly have at least 2 more houses. And then it's you're just golden.
Yeah. I think it's definitely, I want to get to about a 10 house portfolio of my own.
Nice.
That's long-term goal.
Yeah.
Maybe upgrade some of the houses. So, yeah.
That's sweet. And why 10? You just like a little nice round number?
Yeah, that's smart. No, I can see myself working I make about a third of my monthly salary just by the one house that I have, right? And that takes about 5 hours a month. Once I have it all set up. Okay, up front, you're probably putting in like, I don't know, definitely a 40-hour work week just to like manage all your contractors, like I have a phenomenal real estate agent, but and he did a lot of the work for me, but there's just so much work when you buy the house. And I just don't want to get to that point where I have so many houses that it's like uncontrollable to manage. I think just working like 5 hours per house per month, I think that's very reasonable. And at that point, it's just like I can pretty much automate most of it, or eventually like hire my own property manager. Which is eventually the ultimate goal of like being passive.
Right. Well, and even if you don't have your own property manager, at those numbers, that's 50 hours a month as opposed to working 40 hours a week. And at that point, you're earning 3 times whatever your current salary is.
yeah, exactly.
So 3 times the money and what, 1/10 of the work, something like that. Like that's pretty incredible. And that's the power of compound interest. And I think for people watching this YouTube channel, and I know one of your goals too is to give out financial advice and to talk to people about this, but I think this is very important, is that we've been sort of conditioned to think that the idea of success is you go to school, so you can go to college, you can get a job, and that's how you make money. But that formula, it's really a bad formula. Like, because you only have so many hours in a week that you can actually work, but you can essentially have unlimited assets working for you. So, I would probably be pretty tapped out. I could probably work 120 hours a week, and more than that, I'd probably die. Right?
Yeah, that's you'd be grinding.
That's what and that's not what I do now, by the way.
Wow, that's really impressive, actually.
Well, but what it brings it to that is, so let's say I was working 120 hours a week, and I was some, hot shot, whatever, making $500,000 a year, or let's say $1 million a year, working 120 hours a week. If I just instead buy assets and buy businesses and then step away, I can make millions and millions and work zero. If I have the right people in place to hire. So I just think that you don't necessarily build wealth by working hard. You build wealth by acquiring assets.
Yeah.
And that's
smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's like a very unpopular opinion, because it's all about, hey, you got to put in the hard work. What you do in the beginning, like you certainly do have to work hard, and you know that. But when you have businesses and assets, man, it's like it's a totally different game. Yeah. And that's the way to go. Well, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else for the good people of YouTube that you would like to leave them with?
I guess, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's not really that interesting. It's just a bunch of me and like climbing photos or the occasional like room for rent. But
we'll throw that on there.
Aaron_Teron_Castleton. But that's like about the only thing I have to plug.
Nice. Well, we will definitely link to your Instagram below. Go check out his rock climbing pictures.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure they're super dope. And we will see you at the next video. Peace.
See ya.